Okay, so just real quick, let me show you exactly what I did. This is my factory tee with the factory clamps and everything that goes into the back of the carburetor. This was the vacuum supply hose that came out to the side where I installed my new air jet. This is the tee that was provided by the Kuryakyn carburetor kit, and this is the extra hose. Now I just left me about probably 5-6 inches of hose, 7 inches of hose, because I don't know exactly how much I'm going to need. But that's what I did. I just took a razor blade, sliced this in half, put the tee in there. I left the protective coverings on there because, you know, obviously they were there for a reason, so I'm going to leave them there. So I've got my tee in there, and this is going to actually run to the vacuum supply for the hypercharger that's going to operate the butterfly valves. So that's where I put the tee. So hopefully, I mean, this is my first one. This is how I interpreted the directions. This is how I'm going to try it the first time. And fortunately, they did supply me enough of this small vacuum hose that if I mess up, I can take this out, install a new piece, and then go from there without having to go to the store and buy some more vacuum hose and redo all this. So hopefully this will work the first time, and we'll go from there. So the next step, I believe, is to actually install the mounting bracket for the hypercharger, and then install the actual hypercharger itself. Alright, just a few things. The very next step I was supposed to do was to prepare the hypercharger, as well as get the bracket ready to go on the side of the bike. So the bike looks like this. It's just bare stock, well, not bare stock, but you know, it's bare bones. Just got the carburetor sitting there, and it's got the two holes for me to position the hypercharger on. So the very next thing that it wanted me to do was prepare the hypercharger. Now this is the hypercharger bracket. This is where the hypercharger is going to sit on the bike itself. Now the directions, if you follow the directions, they're kind of okay, but then again they're kind of confusing. They say put the long end of the bracket towards the front of the hypercharger. Obviously where the air comes in is the front of the hypercharger. This is your vacuum diaphragm that we're going to hook the vacuum line up that we did the tee for, and that's the nipple where the vacuum line gets hooked up to. Also on here, this is the rubber intake grommet that they gave you in the kit. It's a little bit longer because the hypercharger obviously sits a little bit further away from the body, or the engine block. This clamp right here is the stock clamp that came off the original air cleaner grommet. Now one thing, this grommet, I don't know if you can see right there, you see there's a little metal piece sticking up. Now that's on the existing clamp, and they want the head of the screw to stick towards the back of the bike, which is the back of the hypercharger. There was also a vacuum inlet on the grommet, and this is the double end or double barbed vacuum hose adapter that was in with the bag of your vacuum hoses and everything like that. They also have these mounts for the hypercharger, and they also come with 2 screws. Now they want you to put anti-seize on the end of the screws. Reason being is you're screwing directly into the cylinder block or the cylinder head, and you don't want those to get hot and rust in there, that way you can't get it off. On the inside of the hypercharger, you can see, well, you might not be able to see it, but you can see your K&N air filter. This is where the inside of the grommet sits. There takes a little bit of manipulation to get that grommet on the inside. You got to kind of bend it and push it in, but you can actually see the rubber edge that actually seats in there. There is a gasket on the outside of the cover of the hypercharger. Make sure that stays there. Also on the inside was this black plastic piece. I'm not entirely too sure what that's for. I haven't read that far in the directions yet, but I'm sure it'll be explained. We'll probably end up going in there and pushing down on that black rubber piece. So that's what the hypercharger looks like. Make sure that when you put this bracket on, don't tighten these bolts down real tight. That way you can actually move it, you can slide it back and forth, so that when you actually install this on the bike, you can orient it to the way that it looks the best for you on your bike. That way you can tighten them down later on. There is some Loctite on the back of these nuts too, or on the bolts. So make sure that you don't tighten them all the way down, because they're going to be a pain in the butt to get them off. So yeah, that's that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put the hypercharger on the bike, get everything set up, and then. Alright, so this is where we're at so far. Went ahead and put the hypercharger on the bike. There's one of the mounts, as well as the other one is right here. I didn't tighten them down. I just got them loosely in there, because I mean, obviously we're going to have to do some manipulation later on once we get the whole thing finished. Went ahead and put my vacuum line on there. Now I'll probably end up rerouting this eventually because I don't really like the way it looks sitting there kind of hanging out, so I'll probably end up rerunning it behind the bracket. That way it's a little bit more of a hidden vacuum line. So it's just plugging in the bottom of the diaphragm, and it comes up here to our T that we installed a few steps back. And then it said to go ahead and leave this open, and you can see that it just kind of fell off the back of the carburetor, but it fits right on there just like that. And we're going to have to install a mount that goes up in the top as well as our throttle positioning screw on the bottom. So that's where we're at right now. I'm going to go ahead and start the next steps, but that's pretty much what it looks like. It'll give you a little bit of an idea as to what it's going to look like. It's pretty good. Okay, here we are now. What I've done now is I've reran my vacuum line for my butterflies through one of my brackets. You can see underneath, maybe. Yeah, well, let me go right this way here. So you can see that it's not really hanging out in the middle anymore. It's kind of tucked behind my vacuum cylinder here to where it's out of the way. The bracket, the front bracket, make sure that when you guys do this, you install your throttle cable, your idle adjust cable. One thing that I don't like about it, and you guys will probably notice as well, is that this cable is actually resting on the cylinder head, the fins of the cylinder head, so it's probably get a little hot. Keep an eye on that as you go on, as you're riding, to see if it's melting through. If it is, you're going to have to adjust accordingly. Make sure that you do something to fix that, to get rid of that problem. Go ahead and tighten these up first. This is the exact process that I did. I went ahead and tightened these up first. Well, actually, I ran on my vacuum lines. I tightened these up. It's just this bolt here. Make sure it's not too tight because, again, like I said, you don't want to strip the studs out in the head. Tighten the back one up. And then inside, where this rubber grommet is, the mounting bracket is actually attached to the screws that are behind this. So all I did was I took a screwdriver, just a flathead screwdriver, pried this back, got my Allen wrench in there to the bolts, and then just tightened the nuts down in the back. That's all I did. Also up here, there's a rubber stopper or rubber grommet that's included in the kit. Make sure that you put that. This is not actually going to touch the carburetor. You can see that it's not going to touch. There's a big gap here. So it'll never touch the carburetor. It's pretty stiff. The main purpose of this is just so this metal bracket is not rubbing on your tank. So your tank will actually probably sit on the outside of this. The next thing I did was I connected the breather hose from the cylinder head to this double-ended vacuum hose adapter. So it goes into right there, and then that's pretty much it. And then I went ahead and tightened this bracket down to actually secure the hypercharger to the carburetor intake. And the next step is to go ahead and put the faceplate back on, tighten the 4 bolts here, make sure you get your gasket in there lined up nice. And then what I'm going to do is just wipe it all down, and then I'm going to go ahead and reinstall my tank and put some gas in it, start it up, see what it sounds like. So hopefully everything will work appropriately, whether it be my butterflies, and hopefully it'll run. Keep in mind that when you guys go to start this thing up, it may not start right away, just because you've already drained the carburetor of all the fuel. So of course with the bigger jet in there, it shouldn't take too long for it to fill back up with fuel. So go ahead and just give it a second, let it turn over a couple times, and hopefully it'll fire right up for you guys. So hopefully my bike will be squared away. Hypercharger looks pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and reinstall everything. Put my faceplate on, like I said. All the vacuum lines are hooked up. I'll do one final check of everything, make sure I've got everything hooked up. I'm going to go ahead and put my tank on, install my seat, and give it a start, and we'll see how it sounds. Alright, well there you have it. Kuryakyn Hypercharger for a Honda Shadow Spirit 2009 VT750C2. Shaft driven, like I said, it's a 5-speed, looks pretty good. I haven't fired it up yet. I just got done putting the gas tank on. One thing I will say be mindful of that I've already messed up on is that this top bracket behind the hypercharger where you're supposed to put the grommet, make sure that when you're installing your tank that it doesn't rub on the outside, because I've got a couple scratches here. I've already messed up on it. So make sure that you pay attention to what you're doing and be mindful when you set your tank down on top of it, because if not, you're going to scratch your tank. And unfortunately, I'm kind of upset about it because I just got the tank back from the body shop. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wiped it down. Again, like I said, everything's installed per the instructions. I mean, the instructions weren't too helpful, but again, I mean, they showed you what to do, and if you're somewhat familiar with the way that these bikes work and
how the carburetors are set up and how to take everything apart, and you've got the right tools, it's not that big of an issue. I mean, had I not stopped and shown everybody what to do during these videos, it probably would have taken me about an hour, hour and a half to put this on from start to finish, and that's with taking the tank off and doing everything else, and that's only because I've had this thing apart maybe 30 or 40 times. So yeah, there's my bike. I like it. I think it's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and put the seat and stuff on, and I can show you exactly what that looks like. And I'll probably go ahead and install the drive shaft cover on the other side and give you a full walk around and start it up and let it run and see what it sounds like. Alright.